So, welcome everybody to today's episode of Ladies Who Lead podcast and YouTube channel, where we discuss everything along the sides of empowerment, lifestyle dynamics, and leadership for women. So today we have a very special guest. Her name is Tania Pereenniemi, and apologies if I pronounce that incorrectly.
That was pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to hear. She's a Master of Science and Technology with a distinction from Aalto University in Finland. So with that, I'm guessing that you are currently residing in Finland as well. Is that right?
Yes, I'm based in Helsinki, Finland, but working with entrepreneurs all over the world.
Amazing. So she has a history of experience within business strategy and execution, software business development, and also business consultancies. She is a certified consultant for a system called Notion. She helps busy entrepreneurs, business owners, and consultants organize their work and their team in one place so they can scale without feeling overwhelmed. She has 10 plus years experience in corporate strategy, project management, and processes, and loves to use technology to organize and streamline work for businesses and in terms of their processes. And when she's not working, she's busy spending time with her family and practicing yoga. So welcome, Tania. It's really nice to have you here.
Thank you so much, Nari, for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything you'd like to add to the introduction in terms of your history or anything in particular about your work?
I think that was already quite comprehensive, but how I would summarize it maybe in a way that um, I did work a lot with processes and strategy and systems for larger organizations before, and then at some point I realized there's so much that I can use of those learnings and best practices in the small business owner context. And that's what I'm today really passionate about, finding ways to help these small business owners succeed with the help of systems.
Yeah, that's absolutely very relevant to the topic of today's conversation, which is about building systems and synthesizing, streamlining workflows for organizations. So I'd love to talk to you about how female business owners in our audience would benefit from building better systems to manage the work and information within their businesses. And as you said, SMEs, and you do find a lot of females in that market, and indeed it can become overwhelming when you start to increase the scope, when you start to diversify, when you expand your geographic reach, whether that's regional or international, as you said. So that's why this becomes ever more relevant for those women. So a sophisticated information system basically stores information and simplifies the process of finding data easily. But I want you to give me the scientific description of what an information system is.
Maybe this is not a scientific one per se, but like a common sense explanation, trying to make it as clear as possible for everyone in the audience. How I like to think about management systems is that they are a way for people and companies to keep work and information all organized in a way that allows they themselves and together with their team to get work done as efficiently and as possible. And it comes from a combination of many different things, among other things, finding the information when you need it, being able to distill what is important in that information, managing the work and tasks on your table in a way that's easy to find what your priorities are, and also having ways to manage the processes, the routines in your day so that things move forward in a smooth way.
Absolutely. So with that, why do you think then building a management system is so important for business owners? So basically with a system, when I was thinking about this, it helps you to really simplify in terms of even from top down who you are,
Mm.
what you do, where you want to go. It helps to build that like cohesiveness and that clarity that you're talking about. And it also helps to bridge the gap between, like, say, management or leadership and the employees in terms of the vision and the goals, in terms of forward thinking where we are going in the future. So what are the other reasons why it's so important to have that in place?
Those are some really brilliant points you raised just there. From a small business owner's perspective, I would say that often a key struggle that a small business owner has is that they need to wear so many hats because they are the CEO, the owner of the company. They need to be more or less on top of everything that is taking place in the business. And there will always be more things to do than there is time for. Mm-hmm. So systems are really critical in making sure that a business owner is able to keep their information and work organized and streamlined in a way that they will be able to focus on the right things, and that they will be able to execute on those things as efficiently as possible. And not only they themselves, but also the people in their team, if they are running a team. Mm-hmm. So it is extremely important to have a sufficient level of systemization in place in your business to make that happen. And often in my line of work, I meet business owners to whom this type of thing may not come naturally. They just don't feel like they're really a systems person. They more like to go with their notebook and have piles of post-its here and there, write a new Google Doc when inspiration strikes, but there's really no system. It's just information and notes all over the place. And what happens for an entrepreneur who's super messy like that is that they will really quickly become a bottleneck for growth. And also, I would say, not just the business growth, but also the growing the happiness in their lives, getting the lifestyle and the happiness out of running their own business that they're seeking. Because it's not only going to make them inefficient, it is also going to make them super stressed and overwhelmed and unable to delegate to others all of the 1,000 things that are on their plate.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs, they have that tendency for perfectionism often, and they find it very, very difficult, like you said, to delegate, but it's absolutely necessary for business growth. So especially when, like, with the constant change, the way the world is changing, the way the internet is changing, the evolution of customer preferences and requirements, it really helps businesses to like control their internal and external processes in such a way, which is linked to business growth. Like you said, it's so vital, and not becoming the bottleneck, or standing in their own way of their own, being their own hindrance of their own growth and evolution. So yeah, really good point. And also putting everybody on the same page, because obviously if you're like, and I've been in this situation, like often when there's, like, you talk about SMEs, talk about large organizations, but if there's like, say, a leader, an entrepreneur, and then they have people working for them, they cannot often go off in a tangent in their own directions, because they all have a better way of doing something, or a way of doing something, and that may basically distances people further away. And a system, I believe, brings everybody back on the same page. So you're cohesive, you've got like a common knowledge and message, and you're driving in a common goal in the future direction of and vision of where the organization wants to go. So saying that, what are the common signs that you see where an organization can identify that better systems are required to manage that business?
Let me give some points from maybe a small business owner perspective. So something that should be a warning sign is if you feel like your tasks and project information about important things, such as clients and all the things you want to be staying on top of, is scattered everywhere. in way too many documents, in way too many random tools, and way too many notes in your notebook, and on the corner of some kind of folder in the cloud. So if you feel like your stuff is all over the place, scattered everywhere,
Yeah.
that will make you very distracted, and it's really hard to find what you need when you need it and know how to prioritize. Another thing that is related to that, and also should be a warning sign, if you constantly feel like you need to be managing things inside your head, you wake up in the night thinking that, oh my God, I must be forgetting that thing I promised for the client yesterday. I need to still do that task for that person. If thoughts like these pass through your head on a regular basis, it's quite telling that you don't have a system that you can trust to keep all of those things organized and prioritized for you, so that you don't need to be handling all of that.
Mm.
And also another sign of lacking proper business systems is when you either feel terrified about the thought of delegating anything to anyone else because you feel like you're irreplaceable and no one could know what to do in your business to take on that big chunk of tedious work from your table. And also, you might have already tried hiring a VA, hiring a social media manager, whatnot, and felt like their work was just not up to your standards. It didn't really work out. They didn't really take things off your plate. You still had to be going back and forth over WhatsApp, Slack, whatnot. Maybe you didn't exactly set them up for success. I would always think about whether there was something I could have done better. And it often boils down to having the systems to really support that effective collaboration with those team members. Finally, I would also mention one thing that should be a red flag as well. If you find yourself repeatedly doing some mundane tasks that are taking a lot of your time, maybe there might be some smarter way of doing it, either through automation or by delegating it to someone who is not the CEO and who should be thinking about and spending their time on bigger things.
Makes so much sense. And you're just describing literally the journey of when you're starting out solo and then when you're growing a business and all the things that come with that. So absolutely, like you said, it can hinder productivity, it can hinder performance when you're working on your own, for example. And as you start to grow, like it reduces the need to micromanage, because if you are that type of person, for example, perfectionist mindset, when you're giving work to somebody else, it's really, really difficult because you want it to be out of a certain standard. And I've been there. When it's not, it leads to more frustration, and actually end up like literally holding somebody's hand to do things the way you want them done, and then that's not the best position for them because they want to be autonomous, they want to be like kind of free-willed in the way that they work, and it can be difficult. Whereas if you have a system, there's a place and a way of doing it that's kind of automized, and that's just the way you do it. So and I like what you say about stress, because it increases stress both for yourself, like you said, waking up in the middle of the night, and worrying about things that you don't need to be worrying about. Things just flow, they just happen, and they're reliable. That's the most important thing. You want to be reliable as a human being, and you want to have reliable people working for you and with you, but you and just as well, you need your systems to be reliable and work for you. So really, really helpful advice there. Thank you so much. And that brings us on to our next area of discussion is about, let's now have a look at, for example, some things that we like, key ideal things that we would systemize.
Of course, yeah. So definitely businesses are all different. There's no like list of 10 things that all businesses need to systemize and the 10 tools to use for that. No way. But still, there are a few common topics that I come across with most business owners I talk to that are good places to start, and that are quite fundamental to most businesses in making sure that their team and everything that's taking place runs smoothly. One of the first things, actually, something you also mentioned there earlier, is definitely having some way of documenting and managing the top level strategy and the goal setting. That should kind of be the guiding star for everything that you do. So having some kind of system for it can be even a very simple one, but having some system for managing the top level goals in your business. And then from that comes to, naturally, we come to tasks and project management. So you need to be able to turn those big visions and goals into some concrete action. And that's where the project management, that's what project management is about. So you need to be able to track the key information and the key tasks required to take those big steps in your business to be moving in the right direction. Also, another thing that, well, you don't really have business unless you have sales, and unless you're in a super lucky position where customers just flock to you and you you don't need to like ask anyone if they're ready to move on. You usually need some kind of lead tracker or sales pipeline, because otherwise the action you're going to be taking towards sales is going to be pretty random and also impossible to delegate. Then anyone working with customers needs some kind of system to manage the customer information, not just the contact information, billing information, but also the notes and documents and the mere status of where the project or offering you're delivering to them is going. And then alongside those key things, something else that most business owners will definitely need to look into is finding good systems to organize all the variety of documents and notes they have on different things in their business. It can be some internal wiki, it can be some kind of filing documentation system, but you need to have some system to know where those things can be found.
Yeah.
And finally, I would still mention processes. And usually the way to do that is through some kind of system for managing standard operating procedures, so that you create a library where you have the routines and processes in your system, in your business defined, and you lay out the clear steps for people to be able to complete and run those processes. So that's one to have in place for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And with all of this, what you're saying, it really helps to drive an organization to that operational efficiency that we're kind of touching on here. And that really helps to kind of better like decision making decisions more easily, having data to support that, analyzing kind of customer preferences, customer trends, and gaining and building a portfolio of knowledge and using that knowledge to then further develop to operate at a more efficient level. And also the behavioral change that we notice when you're sharing documents, and when you have that, it allows that ease of connection between different layers and different areas of an SME, for example. If it's just say you and 5 people, then it's different compared to if you've got an organization for say 100 people, which would still be
absolutely.
And that's where it really starts to make a real difference. It just simplifies everything. And like we said, in terms of when you're increasing your portfolio of products and services, having that background to kind of analyze and interpret and the organized status of the information really enables cooperation and business development. So I mean, I've seen that, and it really makes sense what you're saying. It's really important. So that's
absolutely
great. Yeah. And I really like to emphasize on how people feel when we're in this environment where, you know, data is systemized, where they've got operational structure, and where it's clearly defined, where they have clarity, the difference it makes to how they feel. So do you want to just touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I 100% agree with you that having the visibility across the organization to data and KPIs and what's
Yeah,
happening, so that we can in a measurable way see where the bottlenecks are, where we're doing well, where we're
yeah,
doing poorly compared to competition, for example. That is absolutely critical for a business owner and the people in the team, and even in the field, to make the right decisions and operate effectively.
yeah.
100%.
So do you believe, like, for example, if there's females out there who are thinking about starting their own business, they have a business idea and they don't know what to do with it particularly, but like obviously you can create a product, a service, and you can put it out there. At which point would they implement an information system? Is it straight away at the outset, or where would that then become relevant?
My advice would be to not go, obviously not go overboard. Building
No.
information systems should not be any business owner's core focus, and that should not be taking all of their time. But still, I would recommend anyone, even from day one, starting to set up something simple enough yet powerful enough to keep the key pieces of the puzzle organized, because it's much easier for them to then, when they're still in the situation where they might not have so many resources, uh,
Mm.
they might not have a team to help them. It is so much easier for them to get the best out of the little time they have for the 100 things that
Yeah,
come into running a business. And also, it is way easier to build the system up step by step, instead of first accumulating or compiling together a huge mess that you then, when you really like S hits the fan, you only start like somehow trying to sort out. So absolutely, do invest in systems from the beginning, but don't go overboard. It doesn't
yeah,
mean that you need to get a enterprise resource management system from some or
yeah.
invest your whole year's paycheck in this.
No.
There are hundreds and hundreds of tools that you can get started with, even for free, to start setting these things up, and that come a long way in organizing most of the work and information when it comes to a small business.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That's really helpful. And that brings us nicely on to kind of the final part of the podcast today, which is about like some systems, some applications that you can actually recommend that you're aware of that you use, that would be helpful for our women entrepreneurs out there at different levels.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can mention a few tips of some of the leading tools that I know are all brilliant, and that
Yeah.
you can all get started with for either free or for a very limited cost. So some of the leading tools out in the market for when it comes to work management include Trello, Asana, ClickUp, and Monday. Those are maybe the most common household names, and I've used all of those at some point of my life and can say that they are solid tools. They can be used for organizing most things in a business in a very nice and streamlined way. And then I must say my personal favorite, which is Notion, that has been growing very rapidly in the past few months and years, and is a fantastic option for someone looking for maybe a little bit more flexible and visual way of approaching business organization.
Mhm. That sounds really good. So
Yeah.
obviously people can just access these. They can just literally go on the internet, find them, connect, read the background information. So yeah, that's really helpful. So just to conclude then, is there anything additional, any supporting information that of value that you can share to our listeners? Like I said, female entrepreneurs, people who may be in 9 to 5 jobs and they're just like really overwhelmed at even the thought of starting a business, but they have an idea. Just some general advice you can give from your experience.
Oh, there would be so much that could be said on that
Yeah,
topic, but maybe reflecting back to my own journey as an entrepreneur, I would say that even if it sounds like a cliche from a systems person's mouth, but really structure and organization in everything you do has truly been the key for me to be able to succeed as a business owner while having small children, and at some point also having another job at the same time, because that allows me to stay crystal clear on my priorities and where my focus should be, so that I don't get distracted by all the things pulling my attention to every place. And how you make that happen can be many ways, but definitely make sure you bring yourself that clarity and have the tools to support.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. You're right. There's so many different hats generally in life that women have all throughout their lives, and obviously when you're organized, that really helps then to just ease that stress a little bit, and it helps you to be more efficient. It helps you to be more reliable for the people that you serve. So really useful. Thank you so much. I feel like I've learned loads on this, and it's really nice to talk about something that's quite unique actually. And on Ladies Who Lead, we've spoken about so many different topics, which are like to do with female empowerment, to do with just basically transitioning through life as a woman, and this really kind of touches on the business coaching side, so on the leadership side, and it's really helpful. So thank you so much for bringing this to Ladies Who Lead into our
thank you so much. Yeah, it's been truly so much fun. I always get so pumped up when talking about
I love
this stuff. So
and I love picking brains and getting information and just sharing ideas. It's really empowering. And really, like, in terms of if somebody wants to connect with you, where can people find you, and how does that work?
Yeah, so maybe the best hub for everything about my services is my website, tinapereenniemi.com. And then if you want to meet in the social media, I would love to have a chat with you over Instagram. So you can find me there, my first name dot last name on Instagram.
Perfect. So I'll connect you when I publicize it. I'll make sure that you're connected so that people can go on from that route and find you. So yeah, perfect. It's been lovely to talk today, and I look forward to catching up with you again soon. And yeah, thank you so much. And I hope the listeners and the viewers got as much from this recording today as I did. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Nari.
Thank you.